Anyway, you have heard already about the thing. The 1957 marked the launch of Sputnik and also the International Geophysical Year. I think that is the mark that made the beginning of collaborative program in the space. Equatorial Electrojet work was to be around the Trivandrum area, that is the Tumba rocket station. It is Brazil, Ghana, and also in India and Australia and Fiji. Some of those places, the Equatorial Electrojet, it is around 100-kilometer altitude. So this is the one which ionospheric research, it is still a puzzle. Equatorial Electrojet, it is a 10-kilometer kind of thing. All ions and electrons flow. So this is what I think triggered the International Geophysical Year. And what you see here, the beginnings at Trivandrum, the nose cone being carried on a cycle, and also the other. These are basically because of the radio silence to be maintained. Radars are operating, so that time you cannot run the motor vehicles. So this is what I think. It is out of necessity they took all this, and cycle was one of the means of transport within the Tumba rocket station. And what you see the next, the buildings where we worked. On the right side, you see the model of the SLV-3, the first orbital launch, and also the church building where most of the work was done at that time. And in the middle, you see the Apple satellite, which I was fortunate to lead with a team of nearly 2,500 people. And this was one of the state-of-the-art technology mission from 1970s. 77 it started, and then we launched it in 81 and operated for 27 months to do everything what we call nowadays the telemedicine, telecomputing, teleteaching, all kinds of things. So teleconference. So what started in those days, now it has blossomed into operational level. So next. Yeah. This, here you see a single bull cart, and it is in the open field for testing the antenna pattern because VHF communication system. But we had suddenly, few weeks before launch, we found that our link margin, we had a problem, almost 10 dB loss. So the ground plane correction was to be done, and that is how the open field test was done. Otherwise, it would have required a closed indoor, antenna field pattern measurement system. Anechoic chamber was not available at that time in the country. The right side, you see the Apple as a sandwich passenger sitting in the middle. That is with a rectangular solar panel. That is the Apple piece. On top, Meteosat. Bottom, there is an Italian monitoring satellite. So this was at that time the Ariane 1, which was originally 1540 kg. It became 1640 at the time of launch because of the improved performance of the propulsion and other things, structural masses. And then the launch took place in 1981, June 19. So it is not very far from this. So we had a celebration of 40 years of launch of Apple with nearly 70 or 80 people who are my team members in those days. We still, some are in other continents. So we had only online meeting at that time. Yeah, next. Now what you heard from Dr. Nadre, all the others, and basically the small is beautiful. Schumacher's statement has come true, and also the Freeman Dyson is that it is butterflies everywhere. So the small satellites with small solar wings, they are going to be the dominant thing in this, coming decades, and maybe hundreds of them, thousands of them. So what we have seen, 1U, CubeSat to 12U missions have come. Then we also have the missions which are coming in the for democratizing the space technology to all countries, all age groups, and globally more than 3,000 small satellites have been already launched. I think India has contributed. India has also launched, 104 satellites in one single launch for some foreign customer. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating, that we all know. So the next one. Yeah, move to the next. No, next you move. Yeah, what you see, proof of pudding is in the eating, that is a saying. So, and too many cooks spoil the broth. Okay, these are the two things. But when Dr. Anandre said about the system engineering, it is highly interdisciplinary. Many people have to come together. Now, interdisciplinary, that is the difference between same discipline people all coming together. They will not probably produce a successful end product. So that is, I think, realized in the thing. But the end use, primarily, what you see, inaccessible regions, transient events, and also things which are, beyond our control. So this is where I think the disaster mitigation is one of the things. The National Disaster Relief Force is supported now in the country by the satellite data. Indian Meteorological Department is also supported by our satellite data. But this is one very, very unique, and the state also has got the disaster relief forces, and they get the data live from the, all the people. Now we have the other part is the telemedicine, which is, which was experimented in even in Apple time. Now it has matured. Now you have connectivity through the mobile and also through satellite and many others. So here we have the advantage of having the, doctors, expert doctors at one place and the patients at remote villages. So they are linked, and then the diagnosis is done, and then initial health care is given, and then they are advised to go for, higher level of care. The other part is on the epidemiology. This is another thing which is, spread of diseases that can be monitored very, very, carefully. You can get the data because it is a global thing. Now, for example, the pandemics are happening. Now, how it is spreading across the globe, all those things, the small satellite data collection will be a very, very useful thing, reporting and then collating and then getting the things in a, real-time basis. Then we have the next one. Here we will see the other one. The drought is one of the biggest disaster. There is no rain, no cultivation, not even the forest will go. So many of those. So the vegetation index, which was devised by NASA scientists in Goddard Space Flight Center, now that has become a tool. So the onset of the water stress and also the plants perishing, the photosynthetic activity getting affected, everything can be done by the vegetation index. In India, there is a central service from National Remote Sensing Center publishing this data continuously. And the other part is on the cyclone monitoring. This is primarily done from the geostationary orbit very resolution radiometer. And this is Orissa cyclone, very, very famous. Because of the timeliness of the data coming, and then the administration coming into full force, the people who are evacuated, the lives are saved, properties also could be saved as much as possible. And then the post-disaster assessment was also made possible by the satellite data. And the other major disaster is the forest fire. It is not alone in India. It happens in many other Australia, in US, and many other places. So that is why wealth is destroyed. So this is another thing where the timeliness of detection of the forest fire beginning, and then the water tankers, airborne water tankers are being used in advanced countries. So this is one more application which I think we'll have to see in India. We are also to get into this and many other things like, in Malaysia, in Sarawak, many other places it has happened. And the right now we are seeing that the aeronautics will come into picture here to help the forest fire fighting. Yeah, next one. Yeah, next. Yeah, this actually the scene of the forest fire where you see the pictures coming from geostationary orbit kind of things, and also the orbiting satellites. And here the small satellite constellation can come into full force and full effectiveness. So this is what I think we'll have to see. The Orissa cyclone, of course, this has been reported widely, and how the revenue administration, the district administration, all the people who are to act on the data in real time. That has also happened. And post-disaster assessment of the damage and then compensation, insurance and many other things are coming. Okay, next. Yeah, here the IoT, now you heard that Riaz spoke about the small satellite and Dr. Anadre also. Basically, the devices spread all over the place, whether it is for water quality or for the air quality or many other things, pollution monitoring, variety of things. The IoT devices can be there, power quality also, and that will be collected and consolidated through the small satellite missions. So this is very important to keep in mind, that the constellation of satellites monitoring, keeping a watch all over the globe, and at the same time collecting the data and taking it to a cloud, and then everybody can have access to shared data. So this is one of the important missions as part of the proposed 75 satellite student missions. And the other thing you will see, the ocean data boys are helping us to get the data on the next one. Yeah, next one you go. Yeah, ocean data boy, that is one of the things, it is 14 places across the country, along the coastline. It is going through the satellite link, and then the data is coming to Hyderabad for a central location, and it is shared globally. And the top you will see the data from the NASA for the lightning. It is 100,000 lightning events occur every day. So this is what I think you will have to monitor and map, because the power, the entire power grid is very much affected, and the thunderstorms are occurring. So variety of things can be studied by monitoring the lightning alone. So the IoT in combination with the small satellites globally can track all these events. Yeah, last one. Okay. Yeah. Now I just want to close by saying that a civilian early warning system is the need of the hour, and this has been time and again told by Prof. Satish Dhawan, whose birth centenary was celebrated in the 2020, and now we are, yet to fulfill some of his visionary ideas. That is why when we have a military early warning system, defense services have that kind of thing, and an enemy aircraft is intruding or something is happening, you get instant alert and then scrambling of the fighter jets and many other things are happening. But here in civilian early warning system, a disease is breaking out or a catastrophe occurs, like the Bhopal tragedy. We had the one plant, a chemical plant, finally leaked, and then many people, that too in the middle of the night, they were affected. Even 20 years, 30 years, they are still struggling because the bad effects of that foul gas which came out of the plant. The Union Carbide was operating at that time, but it was something in the maintenance, improper maintenance. So this is another thing which we have to see. And Surat plague, one city which is known for diamond, making and selling, diamond polishing. That place got affected by the plague, and the plague was almost virtually, nobody said that there is going to be plague. So the medicines were not in stock anywhere. So this is the thing which is what he meant by civilian early warning system. The other is the crop failure and also the crop status monitoring, because whether the sugar will be available on time in the required quantity, or the food grain will be available in the required quantity, that will determine the market, uh, forces to fix the price and other things. So the civilian early warning system is the biggest requirement, which is unfulfilled dream, which I think we have to pay respect to Prof. Dhawan by implementing it. And this is where I think our small satellite things, 75 student built satellites, or the concept, globally, the small satellites which are coming as a constellation, they should all help to do this for the actual implementation of civilian early warning system. Because the potential loss of lives, property, and many other things is much more than what a war can do damage. So the focus on the monitoring for the defense purposes now should shift to the civilian early warning system. And this is where I think the UNISEC and other UN bodies and our Indian Technology Congress, many others should come to fruition as quickly as possible. Wish you all the best. Thank you.